Next thing I would do is take a meter and measure the serial line coming in. So your green terminal board right there goes from left to right, 1 through 6. And the way it hooks up is 1 and 2 is white black, 3 and 4 white black, 5 is skipped, and both red wires go under terminal 6. So I'd take a meter and measure between 6 and 2, and that should be your positive volts coming from the opto coming in. And so here, since we have a resistor at the end of the line, it should be balanced. So you should see like 2 to 3 volts. You measure between terminal 6 and terminal 1, and you should see that roughly same voltage, maybe minus 0.1, 0.2.
So it comes standardized.
So it should be a fairly balanced voltage line coming in. All right, you measure that. All right, I got good voltage. All right, look for a ground. So then swap over the meter to ground, ohms. Do an ohm check on all 3 wires, you know, and then that will tell you if I've got a ground on my wiring or if I have a ground in the card. So if you find let's say the white wire is grounded, right? All right, I got 100K ohm to ground. So that tells me I need to look at my white wire on my serial line. So disconnect your 2 white wires, check each one, and see which way the ground goes or where the ground's at.
Okay.
You know. So ground pounding for serial lines can get a little bit more involved with finding out where the ground is. I like to go to the middle of the string, break it in half, and then see which way the ground goes.
Okay.
You know. So let's say the Modbus card's bad. Right here. So you come in here, this valve's unknown. You come here, I have no flashy green light.
Yeah.
You know. So I check my line, everything ohms out good, everything's got good voltage, I have no comm light. You pull the wires off, you ohm out the card, and you measure between 1 and 3, and they should be together. 2 and 4 should be together because they're physically wired in the schematic, the circuit board, they're physically wired. But if you measure 1 and 2 and you see them 2 shorted together, that's a no-no. So those 2 should not be shorted together because that's where your white black, that's where your receive and transmit are connected to.
That's 1 and 2 on the.
Okay. So from left to right, 1 and 2. That's your. So it'll be, if you look at it, you can see it. It's white black, skip, both reds under 6.
Yeah.
So you measure 1 and 2, you should see supposed to be like mega ohms, you know, or maybe 500-600 K ohms. But you should see mega ohms is what you really want to see. Let's say you check it, it's 10 ohms between each other. Then that tells me the Modbus card's bad.
Okay.
So I would replace the Modbus card.
Okay.
And then after you replace the Modbus card, and if it comes up and starts talking, there was your problem. All right, let's say you take the Modbus card off and you check 1 and 2 and the ground clears. Then that tells me, hey, there's something grounding on the actuator card, grounding back through the Modbus card. Because the Modbus card gets its power from the control card. That blue transformer on the top is a 115 to I think 5 or 7 volt transformer for the power for the control card and the Modbus card.
Okay.
So the Modbus doesn't get the power from the solid state, it gets from the actuator.
From the actuator card, correct. Yeah, it's got a DIN 40 connector. It's got a 40 pin connector that plugs in on the side.
So if it's not blanking, where do we start at?
The actuator first, just to see if it's a power issue.
Well,
I mean, yeah, it makes sense. Ohm it out. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So, like, the valve's unknown, you come here, you pop it open, and if you see no flashing lights,
Yeah.
then you know you've got a power problem.
Okay.
So at that point, then I would check my, you can on that white connector, which is called terminal board 2, you can measure between 6, 7, and 8. 8's the common, and then 6 and 7 is your open and close. You can measure between there, and if I have 110 there, then that tells me I've got power to the valve. But the other, the actuator and the Modbus are not lighting up. Then I would take, and this this black and white wire right here, this connector here, the J1 connector, that's your input power. You want to measure your input power there, and you don't want to be anything higher than about 120 to 130.
Okay.
Anything higher than that is going to slowly cook that card and burn it up. Legacy has very bad, and these are the same way too. I've seen up to 165 volts going into the card.
Also, just to make, this is the TB2 breaker you said?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, that's TB. If you look at the drawing, the schematic for this valve, it'll be labeled TB2.
Okay.
And then the Modbus terminal is just labeled Modbus. You can actually take a jumper, and you can jumper 6 to 8, and it will open the valve. 7 to 8, it'll short the contact, and it'll make the valve go close. You can fit. So that's what the push button does. All it does is short the contact. And then the indication comes from the other terminals on there. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Those indications, those are the terminals. I think 5 is the common, and then the other ones are the indications going back up for your open and close indication.
Man, so I'm assuming like the TB2 is where like the from the main breaker the power goes into
No.
TB2.
No, your 440 comes in on the very bottom right here. You look down here and you'll see 3 terminals. They're normally covered by like a little white, piece of cardboard for protection. But you'll see a black, white, and red wire coming in, big heavy gauge wire.
Yep.
That's your 440 coming into the valve.
Oh, I see it.
It hooks up there, and on the back side of that, there's a 440 to 110, a 4 to 1 transformer, basically.
Okay. Okay, I see it. Yeah.
And then so phase A and B coming into the valve is the 2 phases that the transformer hooks off of. Phase C is your 3rd phase pickup, and then that pickup comes off of that same. It's a terminal board. It's a circuit board with the transformer on the back, and then on the side is the 3rd phase, and they got a bunch of resistors and stuff stepping the voltage down. So it comes in, and you have your 3-phase. This is your 3rd phase indication right here. There's 2 brown wires. That's your 3rd phase indication in the software. So the software says, hey, if you don't have the 3rd phase indication, it won't let the valve operate.
Yeah.
All right, it's built into the software that way. Now there's a thermal resist. There's a RTD, a temp indication in the motor windings to keep it from overheating, and that's these 2 white wires that plug in right here, and it's a platinum 100 ohm resistor for the temperature indication in the valve.
Are those like the little black cubes in the bottom? Like those are the VRDs?
This is actually down in the motor windings. It's got an RTD down in the motor windings.
Oh, okay.
You have to take that whole thing apart to get to the
RTD.
motor windings.
Because like the DAU has those little black strips to like monitor the temperature. I thought it was like something.
Well, the DAU has a RTD up on the side.
Yeah. I saw something like a black hard square, so I thought it was that.
Yeah, no. What it was.
Oh, it's just some type of connection.
On the torque.
All right.
A thermal disconnect for your torque, so if it
It gets hot, it opens up.
Okay.
Is the blue and purple one the same too? There are 2 of them.
Yeah.
There's close and open.
Yeah, so-
That's your torque switches.
Are those shown on the drawing too? If I pull it out from
Mhm.
Remember, your job is to transcribe your video.